what do I do for my to get into that imaginative state? It's really calm the body down and then program it with different images, and then that goes to another level. But I want to flip back on your end because I have a question for you about or I want to get your comments or thoughts on how we develop, because I find us developing and talking through systems a lot of times without pulling them up. We'll talk through some very complex code and be like, this is there. If we just tweak this and shift that, then it can go and change this. And it's kind of weird. Like, we do it reflexively,
nature,
But if you're on the outside looking in, I can imagine people being like that's what? Like, how are you keeping track of that stuff? And I think, again, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that in terms of the visualization aspect of it, because you said your friend was more of a mechanical guy, and you're like, I can't really do that, but I see us doing that all the time with software and different logic systems.
Oh yeah, so like, I guess to me, all right, what's up, y'all?
What's good?
Super secret Founders Drive.
What's up, y'all?
Back again with another founder.
Back at it again. Don't tell nobody.
Nobody.
All right.
This week.
Yes, we're talking about Palmer Luckey.
Palmer Luckey, a 34, 35-year-old multi-billionaire.
That's not even the most amazing part. The most amazing part is this guy's inventing the future.
Founder of 2 different unicorns. I mean, started working on Oculus at 14, is now the owner of multi-billion-dollar defense contracts for this brand new Department of War that we have.
So, you said we were talking about the last thing that you said.
Oh, the alien stuff. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the technology that has been examined in Congress, and, you know, from a lot of people in the world that have looked at, like, the UAP phenomenon, the alien phenomenon, and the technology that is used in some of these, you know, videos showcasing what they can do. And Palmer has seen all this stuff. He's also given access to very classified intel on projects that the U.S. government has funded and is working on. And his conclusion at the current moment is that it's more likely that these videos of, you know, things that are doing things that we can't today are time travelers versus aliens. And I'm like, how do you come to that conclusion? You have so much information and you're leaning on the fact that it's more likely time travelers than it is people from a distant galaxy.
So you don't think that there's any truth to that at all?
I'm not saying there's no truth to it. It's a wild thing to think about if we're considering the kinds of technologies that are happening right now, that time travel is also involved.
I mean,
it's another level of, like,
it's more
sci-fi,
likely
feels like,
that they are time travelers than they are. I mean, we can go into this whole thing about what is time, but that's another angle. But I do think that we can examine the thinking.
Exactly.
Because the thinking is where the processing and how he plays with ideas is how we start, is why we're seeing the fruit, is where, I guess, where the fruit comes from when we talk about the technologies and the things that he's been able to do.
I like talking about this because it's a successful billionaire who we're having the conversation about. It's not some, you know, crazy person going aliens, you know, on the History Channel.
Well, I've always looked at the
Ciao, Jordan.
aliens. No, but I've always looked at the reasoning, and I think it's of course really cool when you could see something manifest.
Yeah.
But if somebody has, you know, sound thinking and has provable thinking, a la Einstein, who can work with his imagination, is that I'll listen. But I think it does stem to the power of the imagination being able to image it first, and then
explain that out,
and then produce something.
Right.
Like, that's the end goal, is when you can actually produce something that's tangible or testable in the real world. I think we severely underutilize our imaginations.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know if the imagination is underutilized as much as the, like, work needed to actualize it.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have very strong imaginations, but they don't have the means to make it real.
I
You know?
I see what you're saying, but I don't necessarily know if I agree. And
Mm.
I think there's more nuance to it. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is around, I believe we have strong imaginations,
A lot of people do.
but I don't know if we have been able to rein in our imaginations and control it. It's like riding an elephant
Okay.
or riding a wild horse. You have to tame it first. And I think when you discipline it and tame it, and you can learn to work with it, then it can take you places that we see some of the most successful people that we've been following have gone.
That's
In terms of
interesting.
Palmer Luckey, in terms of Elon Musk. One person that we haven't covered, but I think we should at some point, is Tesla.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people that have really been able to put something in their mind's eye and say, okay, I want to get a very, very clear image of this, and I want to refine it so that way, to the point where if I say go and test this in the real world, they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Or if they say go and create this to the specification, they'll be able to go and do that. I think
That's interesting.
the imagination's always firing, but it's firing based off of images that other people put in our heads. It's not really refined. If we look at an image as a copy of something, then it's a very vague, for lack of a better word, shitty copy, as opposed to somebody who might be like a Palmer Luckey or an Elon,
Yeah.
where it's very, very clear what they've described. They've put it under scrutiny, and so when they go out there and build, it's like they're building from a virtual blueprint.
A mind map or something.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like there is that part of it, but there's also like an executive function where it's like, I got to go out and do this thing. You know, it's one of those. Palmer is very entrepreneurial in terms of like getting the supplies together, getting the supply chains together to do what he needs to do.
But since we were in the super secret, right, where we kind of peel back and we try to give away game and stuff that's more actionable, I believe that the imagination is what drives action. And so I think that people don't go and take action because they don't have a clear imagination. They don't know what they actually want. And so they
That's
freeze up.
interesting.
Yeah.
How do you think that they envision the end product or the steps to get there?
I believe they have a vague sense of how they'll feel at the end. They don't, a lot of times they don't have a clear idea of what the end thing actually is supposed to be.
Okay.
And therefore don't even understand what the process should be. So if I don't even know where I want to go destination wise,
It's hard to put a process around that.
yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. I think a lot of people that I feel like have really strong imaginations are envisioning the end product, but they don't have the mind map to get there, and so they don't actually ever take action.
Well, here's another thing too, is if I'm envisioning how much people will love me at the end, that's not the same as envisioning a product.
That's true. They're very true. Yeah.
I can envision how everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, that's great,
Right.
at the end, and maybe that is a motivator, but it's not the full picture that you need to actually go and take action. And so you'll end up
100%.
hesitating or stopping because you haven't thought through the steps you need to take to get to where you need to get to, or you'll end up doing other things that you don't necessarily do. I think it's the basically the way that we program our bodies is our imagination. But you're about to say something.
No, I just I think you're right in terms of the imagination, but it's also, a lot of us have a very vain imagination where it's like, I will focus on the how am I going to feel after this instead of the what do I need to build, what do I need to create, what do I need to do to get to that end goal.
Yeah. And so one thing to develop the imagination is to basically get better at visualizing.
Yeah.
And so one thing that you could do is you can take any object, you can look at it, and then you can look at it for 30 seconds, and then you can close your eyes and try to reimagine it in super vivid detail, describing it.
Yeah.
And then you can open your eyes up, you see what you're missing. You might have missed the shadows, you might have missed the way that it was oriented, you might have missed how tall it is, how short it is. If it's an apple, you might have missed a bruise on it.
Yep.
But you, right? And so then you can then close your eyes and repeat that exercise multiple times with different objects.
Yeah.
You can change your orientation and do the exact same thing. You can start to imagine different things around it. But that strengthens that visualization muscle, so that way when you come up with an idea and your brain serves you an idea in the future, it does it to that standard of super clear detail, so that way you know for a fact what you're seeing in your mind and what you actually want to go out there and do. And it works with ideation too. It's not just visualization. Imagination is comprised of, you know, the visual, the audio, the senses, and going back to Palmer Luckey, even other things that we're not necessarily tuned to see.
Right.
And so I think that imagination is extra powerful. Going back to Dan Gilbert, when you go to his Twitter feed, his banner image is imagination. It's the definition of imagination. And again, when we start thinking about these things, it's extremely powerful to recognize that some of the most successful people in their fields rely on this skill of being able to see what they want on the other side.
Yeah, it's also I got a buddy who does like mechanical engineering. He's a very physical, imaginative person, where like he can take his imagination to the next limit if he has a physical product in front of him. So he'll be able to see how the gears are turning, and then using that physical thing, then imagine how it can be better. It's a very interesting to see him work in terms of like, because I can't imagine in a 3D space that well. I've tried to do it. I'm not very good at it. In terms of like, oh, if the gears are here, if the teeth are here, if the bolt is here, how would that all kind of fit together in a 3D space? It's very interesting too how people do that with physical products, and then do that also with like frequencies. Like there's this founder that I've been following who has these like frequency headphones to get people in the right frequency for, you know, alpha waves or beta waves, or like whatever it is, to either get you calm, to get you creative, to these kinds of things. And so I'm also curious, how do you get yourself into like an imaginative state of mind?
Me personally?
Yes. Is it just natural? Is it something you have to train? Like, how do you flex that muscle, or is it just
I definitely flex the muscle.
Okay.
I start with relaxing my body. That's the biggest thing. I think a lot of people try to get into an imaginative state of mind, and they're stuck in their beta brain waves. And there's a guy, Jose Silva, and he has a whole Silva method, and it's a Silva method for mind control. And it's a book I was turned on to a few years ago. And his whole idea is you get into your creative brain, and that's where you can start to think up different ideas and really start to lean into your creative brain. And a lot of it is about, you know, going into a subtle hypnosis type state.
Yeah.
But when I even uncover that a little bit more, I mean, this is stuff that if you stumble on this, like, I would charge a lot more to go into the details of it, but I will give a little preview here. But essentially is calming the body down, and when you calm your body down, then it can really start to work for you. It's the way to think about it is, if you are trying to train a dog, there's a dog trainer. His name is, I think it's Cesar Hidalgo, and he would take what he does to train the dogs,
train the human,
is train the human. But one of the main things he does is he'll run with the dogs every morning to exhaust them, basically exhaust the body, so it can actually it can listen to you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that's what we do with our bodies, and that's what we have to do with our bodies if we want to program it with new things. And I think the way that we program it is through the imagination. And so to bring that all full circle is calm the body down, get it to a point where it's relaxed, almost tired. So it might be right before sleep, it might be right when you wake up, it might be right after a workout when your body's just physically drained. And then you start to breathe in, and then longer exhales, because that puts your body in a parasympathetic state where it's in its rest and digest, and it's a more creative brain. And then you can start to program it with different images and thoughts, and you can mobilize the body that way. Another example is to make it a little bit more real is, if you can imagine a lemon right now, and you can imagine biting into a lemon, you can start to feel your mouth salivate.
Sure.
And that just goes to show what happens when how the body responds to different images that you put in your head.
Right.
And if you extrapolate that even further and further, if you can get a very clear image of a plan or an end destination in very, very clear detail, and then you can start working backwards in terms of how you got there, then you can start to mobilize the body, because the body will respond and you'll feel a natural pull to start moving in those directions. The body is its own artificial intelligence system, but we have to know how to program it, and imaging is the best way to program it. So what do I do for my to get into that imaginative state? It's really calm the body down and then program it with different images, and then that goes to another level. But I want to flip back on your end, because I have a question for you about I want to get your comments or thoughts on how we develop, because I find us developing and talking through systems a lot of times without pulling them up. We'll talk through some very complex code and be like, this is there. If we just tweak this and shift that, then it can go and change this. And it's kind of weird, like we do it reflexively,
nature,
but it's, if you're on the outside looking in, I can imagine people being like that's what? Like, how are you keeping track of that stuff? And I think, again, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that in terms of the visualization aspect of it, because you said your friend was more of a mechanical guy, and you're like, I can't really do that, but I see us doing that all the time with software and different logic systems.
Oh yeah, so like I guess to me, when it's physical, like it's more like the parts, and it's more complicated parts, right, that fit together that I have trouble imagining. But for me personally, I like to use a lot of the like the mind map of like a mansion, where I'm like, oh, I can go into these different rooms and pull these different thoughts and weave them together to then create something that I guess you could say is physical in my mind, because I am able to, like, it's malleable. Yeah. And so, but it's not a physical item. Like, so it might be a database table, it might be a function, right? It's code somewhere that I know exists, and I can weave it into my brain through a mind map that contains all the pieces, but I'm not like thinking about, oh, what is this made out of? Like, because, that's part of the mechanical stuff. It's like, oh, this is aluminum versus steel, and when they rub together, there's forces there. And thinking about that, I don't have to think about that. But I do have to think about, okay, how are these, dependencies being injected? How are these variables being used? What's the scope of this logic? And that stuff I've just mind mapped. I don't know if it's funny, because these kinds of things progress over time. Not as intentional as somebody might think.
Okay, go on that.
There's, like, just being in the code and building it from scratch, you get a level of comfortableness in some of those dark corners that you wouldn't have if you were just thrown into the thing and said, go ahead and do it. It's just a level of,
it's like a feel,
familiarity. Where I built a lot of it, and so, like, I guess I have like almost like root memory for some of it. It feels like, and maybe that's something that I should explore.
It's one of the coolest things when I think about. I'm just like you. It's like the sensitivity to like the way that you're talking about it, and it's interesting the words that you use, like the dark corners of different areas. And
there's
you like, I know it's over there, but it's not. Like I've maybe looked at it, and you go there, but I don't. It's amazing. It blows my mind sometimes how we can. If you have a good infrastructure and a good structure, how you can elaborate off of that, because you kind of know where home is. It's like, we have a map of where things are.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because that's another thing that now that we've gone through this exercise and been building for decades, you can drop me into any system. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, I have a really good understanding of what pieces are there and what pieces should be there. And it's just good system design.
Man, it's good system design. So I got a recommendation, or somebody sent me these requirements.
Yes.
We actually have to talk about this. but somebody sent me these requirements, and I guess it was this guy that has a lot of money, and he wants to go and build this app.
I love it.
And this other guy said, hey, can you take a look at these requirements? Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
And I was like, first of all, these are all over the place. But it started to dawn on me how you can go and spit something up with ChatGPT or one of these AI systems and be completely, if you don't know what you're looking for, it's literally like you're in another country.
Oh yeah.
It just dropped in and saying, hey, find your way back.
Yeah,
like you're dropped in the middle of the Amazon. Go find your way, back home. And it goes back to the whole idea of a well-designed system and how important that is.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually asked that recently. How long would it take me to rebuild what we have on Constance? And I was like, if it was from scratch, it would probably take a little bit. But if you just gave me the foundation, the design system, and some of the UI elements, it would only take maybe a week.
Yeah, if you're doing
that.
everything, like all the little
From
details,
scratch?
that's a little bit different. But with the AI systems that we have in place now, and knowing where we're going is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's like it would not take me very long.
Yeah, because the decision making is refined now. Like
Exactly.
that's a different.
Or it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or it's done. But it's like if you go in there, I'd be like, okay, I know we need that. I know we need that.
Yeah.
It's like the second time and going on your adventure the second time. Like we know, or a trip the second time. We know where things are. I know where the restaurant is. I know where that is.
Right.
And that's just a level of. Even other similar systems, I can look and say, okay, there's a booking system. Well, I know how to build a booking system.
Yes.
I know the pitfalls. I know things you need to take care of. I know how to integrate that into other areas because we've done that before.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, with AI assistants and stuff, we have like we have it's like we're just trained. Like mind is trained in a different way. Like I don't know. It's kind of mind blowing like talking about it, but it is something that I think has really been refined. But anyway, I feel like this is enough game for today, man.
It is. I think that the only spot that this will extend out right now is the fact that the second time you do your digital product, it's easier. The second time you do these things.
Yes.
So hop onto Constance now, start that journey, start your call to adventure, because the first adventure might take you a little bit.
Yeah.
But that second adventure, you're going to see so much more profit. You're going to see so much more advancement. You're going to see so much more benefit.
You're going to get better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so take that leap, take that jump of faith, sign up on Constance, join us on the journey, and then check us back with another super secret next week.
Yes.
Peace.